What do one of the best crime shows of all time, a nostalgic children's animated show, and Kelsey Grammer have in common? Well, they're all getting a reboot. Don't worry, Kelsey Grammer isn't literally getting rebooted. Let's face it, everyone loves a reboot. Okay, well, actually, it's usually quite the opposite, but that hasn't stopped studios rolling back the years and tapping into your nostalgia to bring back our favorite iconic shows. Saved by the Bell is the most recent to make its way back to the small screen, but it is by no means going to be the last, with a plethora of reboots on the way. Although it is yet to be seen whether or not this will be for the better or for the worse. So let's take a look at which TV shows will indeed be making their return and what we know about these reboots, including casting details, release dates, and even tonal changes. Let's get our nostalgia on and take a look, shall we? At its peak, Dexter was probably one of the best shows around, and it is considered to be one of the best crime shows of all time. It had a twisted yet engaging concept and was a draw to audiences all across the world. Although that's not to say the show didn't have its issues, with the quality declining later in the series, and a finale that has outraged fans, with many considering it to be one of the worst ways that could have ended the show. But the team behind Dexter apparently want a second bite at the cherry to get things right and end on a high. And that's why production has started on a whole new season of the show slated to come out in 2021. The new season, which is to consist of 10 new episodes, reportedly won't change the events of that controversial finale, but it will likely try and appease the fans, with both actor Michael C. Hall and former showrunner Clyde Phillips returning. Phillips had left production after season 4 as the show started to decline, and hopefully he can right the wrongs the show made when the new season airs on Showtime. If you're looking for a fun, family-friendly animated show, look no further than the beloved series Rugrats. Because seriously, who doesn't love Chucky? Remember when he learned how to say no? No, 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 no. It's impossible not to love him. Well, we can learn how to love Chucky all over again as Nickelodeon are rebooting the show, ordering 26 episodes which are set to be aired next year in hopefully better times. The show's initial creators will be returning, as well as the full cast, including Nancy Cartwright, who plays our favorite Chucky, as well as another famous character, Bart Simpson. But Rugrats isn't the only show from our childhood making a return, with Peacock currently working on a reboot of Punky Brewster, which will follow a now grown-up Punky as she acts as a single mom raising 3 kids, which, despite delays from COVID, should be released next year. Another reboot in the works is Lizzie McGuire at Disney+, although that is somewhat in the air due to controversy behind the scenes. Spin-offs don't often get a good name, such as Joey, but one that did get a great reception is the spin-off of Cheers, and that is of course Frasier. Starring the brilliant Kelsey Grammer, the sitcom is seen as one of the best of all time, so fans may be happy to hear that a reboot is in the works. Grammer announced back in 2019 that the series was in development, but said that there will be a number of changes, with the show not being set in the original Seattle location, and will follow the character in the next phase of his life, labeling it as the third act, which probably means the final act. Further plot details and news on a release date is still unknown as of now, but we are certainly excited to see our favorite psychiatric-turned-radio host once again. Other than perhaps Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica is probably the biggest sci-fi series of all time, and its importance in the genre cannot be understated. Therefore, it is no surprise that we will be seeing Battlestar Galactica once again, with Peacock remaking the show with a new imagined concept and a slightly different spin. What makes this series so exciting is that it will be executive produced by Sam Esmail, who was behind the great psychological series Mr. Robot, and therefore we know it will be in good hands, and also wondering if they have F Society and Black Hoodies in space. Esmail has made sure to make the point that it is not a typical reboot, and that it will explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar. When exactly the show will be released is unclear, but right now we can expect to see it sometime next year. Like Dexter, another show that had a notable decline after the showrunner left was The Boondocks, with Aaron MacGruber, who was behind the comic strip, leaving the series in its final season, which caused a great deal of backlash from fans. But also like Dexter, the show will have another chance to make things right, with MacGruber returning to the show after HBO Max ordered 2 seasons worth of it. However, it is currently unclear if any of the cast will also be returning alongside MacGruber, or if this will be a completely different take on the show, so for now, we're just gonna have to do something that we're not so good at. Be patient. One of the biggest pieces of news to come this year is that Conan the Barbarian will be getting a reboot and is heading to Netflix in the very near future. This won't be the first reboot of the 80s movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, with Jason Momoa's 2011 remake being critically panned. But it is exciting to see Netflix expanding their original TV series. If this will be a reboot of the original movie, the remake, the comic strips, or something completely different is currently unclear. But whatever it is, we're in. I need some more Conan in my life, and as I mentioned before, I'm not very good at being patient, so expect a strongly worded letter, Netflix, if I don't get my dose of Conan soon. And I mean strongly worded. Not so veiled threats aside, another show getting a reboot is the sci-fi series Supernatural. I'm just kidding, you should have seen the look on your faces. No, Supernatural isn't getting a reboot, but there is an impending reboot that involves one of its stars, Jared Padalecki. Padalecki has had to share the spotlight with his on-screen brother, Jensen Ackles, for well over a decade now. But he will have to share the spotlight no more, as he will get to lead a whole CW show of his own with the upcoming reboot of Walker, Texas Ranger, which starred the great Chuck Norris, who, just by mentioning his name, can cause your devices to break and all the wolves in the world howl in unison. True story. The reboot, which is just going by the title Walker, is currently in post-production and is set to air sometime next year. Now, a number of you may tune out at this next one, but another CW-related show getting a reboot is the ever-divisive show Gossip Girl. The reboot, which has been picked up by HBO Max, will serve as a sequel, with it being set 8 years after the show's finale, and will center on a new, more diverse group of stuck-up rich kids getting up to all sorts of things that they shouldn't be getting up to, like staying up after 10 p.m. My mom won't let me do that. The new diverse cast is set to be more inclusive and will reportedly focus on a number of characters from the LGBTQ community. Production was supposed to start early this year, but of course, due to COVID, has been delayed, with the show set to release sometime next year. One of the most surprising titles on this list is the reboot of one of the most popular SNL characters of all time, and that's Will Forte's MacGruber. MacGruber, an obvious parody of MacGyver, has been one of SNL's most popular pieces recently, and by recently I mean over a decade ago, even warranting a movie in 2010, and the character will be making his return to the screen on Peacock, with a series being ordered.
Oh my god.
Will Forte will be reprising his role as the character, and the cast will apparently include fellow SNL alum Kristen Wiig, as well as being joined by Ryan Felipe. The series will consist of 8 episodes, with the plot following MacGruber after rotting in prison for over a decade until he is finally released, where he will come across a mysterious villain from his past, Brigadier Commander Ennis Queeth. That's good stuff. He will then be in a race against time to defeat the forces of evil, only to find that evil may be lurking within. Ooh, I'm invested! But most importantly, the most exciting entry on this list is of course the reboot of the best superhero ensemble out there. Sorry, Avengers, and that is the Power Rangers. Instead of having epic battles at destroyed headquarters, the Power Rangers did their major fights at a quarry, which of course is the courteous place to throw down, which they clearly must have learned from Dragon Ball Z, and were, not to put this lightly, epic. End of the effing world producer and director Jonathan Entwistle will be directing and leading a movie and connected series, and again, we are all in. In the words of Philip J. Fry,
"Shut up and take my money."
I don't even care, I'm so on board for this. Right now, further information is scarce, but as I said, I am by no means a patient person. So, if you think my letter to Netflix over Conan was gonna be strongly worded, you wait and see my letter to Jonathan Entwistle if we don't get any Power Rangers soon. And last but certainly not least is a bonus entry. Now, if news of this had been confirmed, we would certainly have put this up earlier, but as it is still currently in the being shopped stage, it is yet to actually be a thing. Well, we're talking about the potential Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reboot that is currently being discussed. A reunion special was released on HBO Max over Thanksgiving weekend, but there are entirely different plans for everyone's favorite kid from West Philly to do what Riverdale did to Archie and make it dark. That's because in 2019, a fan movie written and directed by Morgan Cooper put a new spin on the sitcom by reimagining the comedy as a gritty drama in the same vein as Ryan Coogler. The movie gained so much traction that it came to the attention of the Fresh Prince himself, Will Smith, who loved it so much that he is throwing himself behind the notion of making it into a full series. If it happens, we will see, but it is definitely one to keep an eye on. So what do you make of these reboots? Any you're looking forward to seeing? Any you wish they left alone? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to the channel today for all this and more.